Welcome, Flow Riders. I'm Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, the producer of The Flow. And today we're going to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes tech check look at things. And if you were to be calling in, as we will be having some of you call in a little bit later today, this is pretty much what you're going to be looking at as far as the tech check. So, right now, I have Doc Rock on the line calling in. And let's go into live demo real quick so that I can show you exactly what this looks like. Boom. So now you're seeing what I see as a producer. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to answer Doc Rock's call. All right. And there he is. And right here from the producer view, I'm just going to just add him in. And now he's on live with everyone. How you doing, Doc?
It's morning time. It's morning time.
All right, so right now we're in demo mode or live
It's
demo mode to show you the behind the scenes, showing you the interview window and how you would bring on a guest. And now, once they're there, basically you have complete control of doing whatever it is that you need to add them to any scene. They're just like another camera, easy as pie with Ecamm Live. So, what's up, Doc?
I never heard that before. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's an awesome morning. Yeah, I think the thing that everybody gets, I don't want to say wrong, but it happens way too often. So many people do their shows without doing any form of tech check, and then they have an absolute meltdown when things doesn't go right. So
Yeah,
it's
and no, and
good.
today I was gonna start doing things so that we didn't have a meltdown, and then realizing like that's what we need to show. So
Right, right. So that's the important part of this whole thing. Like I just remembered to press record right now. Anyway, think about this, folks. If you go to the airport, if you're standing in the not the lounge, that's where I kick it. But if you're standing in the waiting room at the airport, there's somebody running around on the ground with a vest and then the flashlight, right? And he's going to every individual thing on the plane and he's doing all these checks. And they do that every single flight. Like it doesn't matter, even if it's just a short hop, like in Florida, how you can go from like Orlando to say Jacksonville in the plane or whatever. Like even a really, really short flight, they still gonna stop and check the plane every single flight, right? Or
mhm.
like in Japan, they check the train every stop. Like they come out, they look down the side, they got like three people on the platform waving their hands to let you know that everybody's inside the train and then the what do you call that dude? Conductor. The
Mhm.
conductor will wave at those people, and then he'll look forward, nothing forward, but he gives a hand signal forward, and then he does a up to the controls that are here, and he points to the controls down there. Then he stands in position and unlooses everything. So it's funny to watch them. I suggest you see a video of it because something as simple as like fully automated train, but they check every single time. And it's a series of hand gestures, but it's amazing because with that level of checking, you do yourself a lot of favors. So now, because of my time in Japan, I have a thing when I walk out the door where I go phone, wallet, keys. And I do the check every time. Phone, wallet, keys. Okay, go.
Is that a Japanese thing?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's funny because I just kind of incorporated that into my life as a routine. Like I gotta have my keys, gotta have my wallet and my phone. Like these are the essential like everyday carry items. So that's very
Yep.
interesting. But I
And
do
it's
like the analogy of like prepping for the plane or for a train because even though it's so commonplace in our lives, the redundancies and the like double checking for everything that you have to do. And like I believe certain planes have to have like a fail safe system
mhm.
within their engines themselves, just in case something were to go wrong through all the tech checks. So it's very very interesting, and I like that analogy a lot.
Well, you know the one that will probably most people knows. I know you don't fly as much as we do, but like when when they do the announcement about the seatbelt and where the cushions are and how to put on your mask and jump out the window over here and the exits are here, 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 and here. If they have to like say drive down the runway because they're about ready to do that, and then let's say there's a false start, right? For whatever reason, they got to loop back around. Somebody stole their runway. They have to start all over again. So if they shut the engine off and then turn it back on again, they do that entire thing again. Even though everybody in there has already heard it and not a single person has stepped foot on the plane, nothing. They do the entire thing all over again.
And I've experienced that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, anybody who flies American has experienced it a lot.
I don't remember what airline, when I was going to Puerto Rico last time, but yeah, like it exactly that. Like, didn't we do this again? You're just like thinking it's a deja vu, but no, they have to go through the whole procedure and show you how to use the life vest and do the whole thing all over again.
Yes. You know what? I really Rich chiming in the chat, and I know a lot of you guys will be listening to this at home and you won't have access to the chat, but that's why you should come to the live tapings. Rich is mentioning something in the chat, which is also very reminiscent because Rich and I both come from publishing world, as far as being a designer in publishing. And in publishing, there was something known as a pre-flight check. Because back in the day, you had to make sure you sent all the fonts and all the graphics. Like there wasn't PDF yet, right? So whenever you sent something to go to get pressed, like print production or pre-press is what they call it. Pre-flight check is part of pre-press. So you would look at your page and you go, okay, I got all these graphics are in this folder, all of the fonts are in this folder, any postscript files are in this folder, and then you check everything and make sure it was all good. So yeah, same thing. Because you've definitely seen ads at some point in your life where it's like, there's something missing from here. Why is there just a space right here where there's supposed to be a picture? That was somebody who failed the pre-flight thing. And there used to be like relatively expensive softwares to do pre-flight checks for your print productions before PDF became big time. Yeah, very cool.
Well,
I
you
like it.
see, like right now, to everyone, it just seems like we're just shooting the breeze because we are, and we're just having a conversation. But at the same time, while this happens in the 15 minutes before every episode of The Flow, I'm at this time adjusting Doc Rock's audio levels. I'm making
Yeah,
sure that he's framed correctly. And even though that this is what you're seeing, I can even have a preview mode where the conversation will continue and I'm actually building out all of the actual scenes that we're going to be using for the episode. So to give you a little look of that, I would literally just move to the next scene, and right there you're just seeing the empty, Doc Rock and Katie Fawkes. I actually made a copy with my name on it and put my face in there already. So now when I get to this screen, I just hit on that edit pencil and change this to Doc Rock, and now boom, we're there. So if I were to remove this from the live demo mode, then now you're just seeing basically the production level of the flow, and we could continue with the conversation.
very cool. And one thing, if you in live demo mode, can you show your sound levels just to give people an idea
Oh, yes.
of where it should come in? Now, this has been a little bit of a conversation inside the group, and I just want to say that if you are in here and you're looking at your sound levels panel, right? Um, you can see where the meter is. And just as I'm talking, it just starts to blink yellow. Now, we don't have broadcast meters, and you know what? It's not that big a deal. We got a lot of people that freak out. Well, it doesn't have meters. I don't know how loud it is. I don't know. Maybe because I've done this well over 1,000 times, I know exactly what it is. So, if you've only done it twice, I'll forgive you. If you've done it more than 20 times, I don't forgive you because you should know by now exactly what it is. So that means that I know exactly what I have to do to the audio once it lands on my computer to make it ready to go. But honestly, this is where it is. Now, I think part of the reason why it causes somewhat of a meltdown to people who swear they know what they're doing is, people have different ideas of like how hot it should be when it comes in. And if you look at most really good digital recorders, they're going to fall somewhere between -12 and -9 sort of out of the gate on pro level recorders. And then you're going to do a normalization on that, which means to run it through a quick filter that says make all of the audio even, right? And then you're going to add a little EQ, then you're going to add a little compressor, and then you're basically done. I add a limiter, but whatever. That's getting a little bit technical, right?
Mhm.
As long as you're kissing that yellow, you know for a fact that you're in the right range. And if it's not kissing that yellow, you probably can come up a little bit. Now, you notice we're kissing the yellow. We're not like blasting the yellow. Now, everybody hold your ears. Rich, I'm giving you fair warning, but here goes. But if I start yelling all of a sudden, look at that. I'm not even punching out of the yellow. That's how you know that it's safe.
Yep, and it's
If
safe because I've brought your level down just a bit, and even the interview window, you can see I have it right at around 90 to prevent that.
right. So that way you don't when you ever listen to a podcast, folks, and you hear when somebody's and they're talking or when they laugh every time they yeah, that's super obnoxious. That's called clipping. That's when the available volume taps the ceiling of what can possibly be audibly recorded. So all of that data gets crunched into the ceiling and it causes that noise. You're hearing all the sound banging off of that wall. So it's very important that even without numbers, you can do your check. And this is why sometimes in a live stream, if I know I'm going to edit it, even if people in the audience are going, I can't hear Rich. Too bad. Rich is fine here. And I'm going to leave it there. It's probably them. It's probably their volume, their computer, their headphones. They're in a noisy environment or whatever. If you're visually kissing this yellow, your audio is loud enough, period. And anybody that says they can hear, I'm sorry, it's kind of on them. So it's very important that you use your eyes and not just what you hear in the chat. Because I can't tell you, Paul and Kathy, Katie, how many times they've reacted to someone in the chat saying
Yes.
something's wrong with the audio and then break the audio for the entire show. I will never touch this once I said it because I know it's good. But even if someone in the audience says something, if like three people say something, then I'll trust it. But if just one person says it, I ain't moving nothing.
And that's
You know?
such a good tip because like you said, I've seen it happen so many times. And the best tip is that if you hear somebody complaining about either double audio, an echo, or that it's too low, don't change anything, right? You
Yes,
have the ability to see the levels and see that you're in green, and so many times I see that in the chat while we're producing, and I'm looking at these levels and I'm like, not even sweating it, because everything here going out is okay. And then we'll get a message a little bit later, oh, I had two windows open, so it sounded like an echo. Oh, it was my volume was being routed somewhere differently to my headphones. Oh, it was doing something else. And some people that we've seen have actually just ruined their live streams trying to find a like a fix to a problem that doesn't even exist. So
correct.
that's the worst part, where you're chasing your tail for nothing because everything is running smooth, but a comment could really steer you in the wrong direction.
Okay, so I want everybody to pay attention to this. Please look at the sound level. And again, people following at home, you're going to have to watch the replay of this in order to understand what we're saying. But this is a very key piece. So if you listen to nothing else and you got this far, you got about 2 more minutes and then you can hang up and do whatever you're doing. Okay. So I want you to notice the sound levels right now. When I am speaking, the only bar that is moving on Luis's side is the interview bar. If you only see one bar moving when I'm talking, and when I stop, it disappears. There is no problem with the audio. If every person in the chat says they hear an echo, but you only see one bar moving, the interview bar alone, there's no echo. If the I'm over here trying to point to the screen and can nobody see the screen. If if you see the interview bar moving and the master input, in this case, it says effing microphone. No, oh, Chris microphone.
Mhm.
If you see both of those moving, then there's probably that slap back because that means that are my sound is also leaking through Luis's master interface. So that is when you're hearing a slapback. If you can see both guys moving when someone is talking, that's how you know.
Yeah, and the easiest way to do it is to actually like remove my headphones and put the audio through the speaker here. Because if I were to be hearing Doc, my microphone will be picking up that audio the same way that my ears do and then sending it back, which would hypothetically make people think that it's an echo, but it's just slapback.
Okay, so now the other thing, and this is a good thing. Now, this is a tough one. You can monitor the levels on your interface, in which case both of us are using Rodecaster Pros. But I would say the one that matters in this particular case is the Ecamm one because that's where your recording is going. You monitor the levels as what's going to the recording. Now, this can cause some confusion. I never use the built-in audio monitor in Ecamm, which is at the top in the output window. There is a monitor option. I never monitored that. I never even listened to it for 1 second to see how it's going because I've done this enough time that I trust the soup. I always listen to my interface because that will give you kind of the purest sound of what's coming in, provided that that's also the interface that is selected for the sound to come out. So in Luis's situation, Chris' microphone is just a microphone. They don't have a listen, but the output of Ecamm is probably selected to the Rodecaster Pro. It's close enough. That works. Chris is a piece of software that's complicating things for today. In my case, I listen to the Rodecaster Pro, and I also have the Rodecaster Pro selected as the output for Ecamm. So all I need to do on the Rodecaster Pro is just see that the meter is moving. But the main meter that I'm concerned with is the one that's on the screen. And if the one that's on the screen is just kissing that yellow, like, it's perfect. I don't have to do anything. I don't even have to worry about the Rodecaster Pro, right? It's doing exactly what it needs to do. So, um, you are cognizant of what the levels are on your interface, but in reality, for podcasting, you're kind of sort of paying attention to the level that is built into Ecamm because that's giving you what's being actually recorded.
Yeah, as the producer, you're using Ecamm or I am as my production vehicle. So anything that I have is gonna like end up in this program, and that's what's gonna be broadcasted out. So whether it's coming from a Rodecaster Pro, whether it's coming from just your USB microphone, whether it's coming from your camera, whether it's your video, audio, whatever, everything that's leaving Ecamm is what your audience is going to see. So that's what you have to pay attention that if your audio levels are good in your sound levels window here in Ecamm, then you're good to go.
All right. The other thing that I think we should talk about, one thing Luis does, which I forget to do to this day, I'll honestly admit that. Um, Luis will run through every scene to see what it looks like as
Hmm.
part of your tech check. I do this about 50% of the times. Other times I'll straight up forget. And then I'll get to, wait, that's not supposed to be there. Not that big a deal to me. I don't think that it's supposed to be perfect. So I don't care when it's not. But
But there's a bit difference, right? Because I'm the
yeah,
same way in my own live stream where it's like, oh, that wasn't supposed to be there, and you just fix it on the fly. But as the producer, as the man behind the scenes and making it easy and just like, as easy as possible that I can for my guests, being you and Katie. I make sure that all of those things are taken care of so that there is no issue. And a
Right.
good example of this was when, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, you went and you were doing the Instagram live at the same time with the Flow podcast, and I
Yes.
was able to kind of like in the back, in the back scenes over here, quickly pull up your live stream on my phone and then connect it to my computer and then bring it onto the screen for all of the flow riders to be able to see what you were doing on Instagram within a moment's notice, just as another camera. So having that forethought of being able to understand how all of this works to produce the best and have that problem solving mentality on the fly is like very important and really cool, a really cool skill set.
Right. And well, this is where doing the idea of going through all your scenes is making sure that everything is where you think it should be. And that's part of the pre-check. So you want to go through every scene and just double check it, make sure everything is in position, things are looking the way you expect them to look, like the whole 9 yards. So maybe you should just show them real quick how you go through your scenes.
All right, well, you see, like right here in this scene in particular, because I'm so close to the camera and this is like my scene, my head is kind of bigger than Doc Rock's head, and most people won't
It's,
even pay attention to that stuff. But
it's actually
it's the
bigger.
rare occasion that this happens. So,
It's actually bigger. That head is massive.
man,
Oh,
you are 6 foot something up there. I'm over here in the 5'6" range. Don't even play with me. But let's go. So what I would do is I would actually go into Doc's window here in the camera switcher, and I would just go into his effects window and I would click into the zoom. Oh, I have my scene locked, which is another good tip. Always lock your scenes once you have them set up. But because we're going to be adjusting some, we're going to unlock the scenes. And then I'm just going to adjust the zoom on Doc, then address it. And now it's more even keel, right? So let's bring it down to 15. And then because he's centered, that's a good scene. I will just close this window. And now this scene individually is locked up this way. But if we wanted just another scene where it's just Doc, which I have it written here, I'm just going to put it there, it's empty. So if I were to have moved into this scene, this is what you would be seeing as your broadcast, when we could just easily right away go back to the pencil and change the camera to Doc. A cool feature of Ecamm, just to mention, is the fact that even though the scene is locked, you can still adjust the cameras for ease of use. Because if every time you had to make that simple adjustment of changing the camera, I would have to come here, unlock, change the camera on the pencil, then relock to save it. That is just going to be so frustrating. So the fact that even though a scene is locked, you have the ability to change it is like ideal. So
wait, don't switch yet. Try undo that real quick. Just hit Command Z. I want to see if this works. And I don't think it worked. Okay. I was gonna say one other thing that I really love now is
mhm.
that whenever you need to change the camera, rather than click the pencil and pull the drop down, I just drag the camera out of the camera switcher and boop it in. It's so cool. So grab
Oh,
your
okay.
face, drop it
And
on my
just
camera. Oh no, you missed. You got to drop it in the center. Oh, you
okay.
locked the
So
scene. Never mind. Never mind.
oh, it has to
Undo it.
be unlocked. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
you see, because I
drop
do
that.
all of my setting up in the background, so I rarely do the on the fly stuff. No, it's
How
still
you
throwing it in
again?
there. Let me see.
It works for me. What the heck's wrong with you?
All right, but nonetheless, like we will go back to our scene, right?
I really love the fact that you can just swap cameras on the fly like that. It's really weird. I wonder why I didn't do it, but anyway, that's irrelevant. That's something that you can practice on your own. And like, I love being able to get rid of that bar now in the middle. Like you just popped up the camera switcher that's in the actual master display. I
Mm-hmm.
80 that thing right away now.
Yeah, well,
Complete.
I still use it, believe it or not, for my what I call my producer view, right? So the
Mm,
first scene,
yeah.
this I leave bare bones as far as like Ecamm's ability, because let's say, like right now, if we were to invite somebody to come in and do a tech check, instead of having a window that's preset, this is the one that gives me the most, the most flexibility, because I could just remove someone. I can just click on dock and then he becomes the full screen. I can become the full screen and then add dock, and then just with the power of Ecamm's program itself and just making it as basic as possible, I'll be able to bring somebody else in and have them join in the chat and do, the tech check on the back end just the same.
That's yeah, it's really cool, and I like the idea of having a producer view. And now that I think about it, I never do that because I'm producing myself. But it is actually a good idea to have one, because if you have to suss out a problem, sometimes looking at it in its most vanilla state will make it easier to suss out a problem. So the producer view is a good idea. So today I learned I need to make me a producer view. It is actually a pretty smart. It is a pretty smart scene. I suggest everybody add that to their repertoire.
And it's also the only one that I leave unlocked, so that it has full functionality. I can move everything around and it gives me that power of just, I can do it.
Correct. Correct. All right. Now, the other things that you should be checking in your pre-check is making sure that now I've done this several times, and it's only happened twice, but it's painful when it happens. Check your hard drive to make sure you have enough space for your recording.
Yes.
Because
that
when you
that is
forget,
tough.
bruh, my this machine here, my master machine that I work with on a daily basis, I have a script that runs that cleans it up every week. It's a application by Noodlesoft, like ramen noodles, and it's called Hazel. Hazel, like the maid from what show was that?
I
Oh, I
think you
forget.
keep I th- keep you you've mentioned this before, and I keep thinking that you keep messing it up. So
No,
regardless, like, because the maid
can't.
that you keep talking about is the one from the Brady Bunch, but that was
That's
Alice.
that's Alice. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm
Um,
not familiar with Hazel, but continue. It's a good program.
sure. Um, hey, let me gotta look it up because now it's messing with me.
Let's see if
Uh,
we hear anything in chat.
Yeah, Hazel the American Hazelberg. That was actually the TV show was called Hazel. Ha, there you go.
Oh, okay.
That
So
that's why. It's an old black and white TV show. Um, and it's funny because George and Paul are old enough to know that. So anyway, it was a black and white TV show. I fully remember this. Shirley Booth, that's her name, the lady who played Hazel. Anyway, it basically would go by and clean up your machine and do all of those weird things, right? So I have it set that every week at the end of the week, go by and grab all of my things and clean them up, right?
all right.
And
So
put 'em away.
everybody heard that little jingle, and that jingle is because we have our first person doing the tech check. So going back to live demo, we got Big Rich, yo.
Like
All right. And you see right here,
here,
I'm just going to add him to the mix. And so easily in the producer view, we have Rich on screen. How you doing, Rich?
Fine, fine, fine. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Now I'm just, checking your audio levels, and you sound good. You look good. How are you
I'm
today?
I'm using my Mac microphone because this is not my setup. My setup's behind me, but I did find some headphones, so I've got that part worked out.
And look, just that's another great tip, because just a set of headphones is going to separate the audio and eliminate what we call slapback echo. And that little bit of, you know added tech is actually makes Rich sounds very good, because the microphone is not trying to pick up anything except his voice, and is not trying to deal with him hearing us coming out of the speakers.
Yeah, and I also I had to turn the audio off on your stream, so I made sure to do that before I got on as well.
Yep, that's also another thing, because
Because that'll
that's,
happen if I turn this on. You'll start hearing yourself, and it's
yeah, we start hearing the system audio.
Yeah, you can hear it a little bit. So,
Yeah.
one thing that was really good, I don't know if you guys caught that real quick. I think Luis did it so fast. But when Rich first came in the window where it says big promo in the small interview window on the right side over there, when Rich was first talking, it pegged red for like a split second. And then so Luis pulled it down just a bit. And now when Rich talks, he's at basically the same level I am. Now, it might sound louder, and that's because now this is important because a lot of people say, "Oh, so and so isn't as loud as so and so." Right now, Rich is going to sound louder than me because he's using a smaller microphone that has less frequencies. So all the frequencies are packed into a single channel, right? It's almost like being in a tube. So it's going to give the impression that he's louder, and that's because it's not spread across of a range. And so it's that's just a higher frequency, which your brain perceives a little bit faster than say the lower frequencies, and so it sounds louder. But looking at the meter, it's not.
Yeah, and when it comes to frequency, it also has to do with their voice because
Yeah,
your voice is so deep, Doc, that while you're having conversations with Katie, sometimes I can pull your audio all the way up and Katie's down, and like sounds almost even, and sometimes you're still lower because of the
well,
simple
you
fact
think
of
about
the resonance of your voice.
the, alerts. You ever notice that alerts are always high pitch,
High
right?
pitched, yes.
So like your seatbelt thing, or the one when someone pulls the fire alarm in the building,
Hmm.
sirens, like they're all high pitched on purpose because your brain just reacts to that a little bit differently. And Rich is loud because Rich is like 6'8", so it just booms around in his giant chest.
I'm loud. I'm loud and I'm proud, brother. That's exactly right.
That's right, he's Texas loud. So
But that also has to do with, getting really technical with sound frequencies. And,
yeah,
the
yeah,
higher pitch frequencies actually travel further than lower, bass sounds. So that has to do with everything when it comes to audio.
yeah. And that's so it's really cool. It's a good idea. Like during the setup again, you'll notice that like in the interview panel right now, Rich and I are still coming in that one green line on the sound panel, but individually, like right above Rich's head and over here for me, there is this line. This is where you control the individual volume. Man, I'm good at this. Take that, Stephanie Lou. You can That's where you adjust a person's volume for each individual person. So that question comes up a lot. Can you control the volume for each individual guest? And the answer is absolutely.
Yeah, right there. And what I did right now is I just brought in the preview window, right? And the preview window is basically what you would be displaying out as your broadcast. But because we're in the live demo mode, right here, I wanted to actually start changing the scene. So Doc and Rich could continue having the conversation and it would flow. And me in the background, I would actually start setting up like a new scene. Like I'll take this one and, just to make it easy, as the live view, as you can see on the bottom right hand corner, is
Yeah,
still going out. Yeah, what I'm going to do to make this easy, I'm just going to remove the names, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I would just basically go to this and just exit that out, exit that out, exit that out.
Well, this is good too because it's letting people who haven't really seen it before understand how you do it as a producer where you're not
Mm-hmm.
on camera. Like if it was just Rich and I recording today, like this is what Luis does. He
Absolutely.
basically sets the scene up, we both call in, and then he has it where, Rich and I would be on camera. Rich, Luis is off camera, like doing all myriad things in the background. Um, Rich, when you guys are producing for a creative part, do you take turns with different producers, or do you pretty much handle the production?
It's all on me. I do it all. Everybody, we could do it that way, but it's just easier because I end up doing all the editing and Premiere and everything else.
Yeah, it definitely would seem easier to just have it where one person is messing with it too,
Yeah,
because you,
but I am doing remote production on a different computer than my source feed. Like you're going to send your file to Luis,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Katie would send her file to Luis. I have a file that I send to myself, but so I have an ISO file of my own on a different computer.
Oh, interesting. I like
So I
that.
don't actually do remote production because we didn't want to get involved with somebody having to produce something because maybe they'll miss part of the conversation and not be part of the conversation. So we wanted to make sure that everybody's focused on the circles, and then we edit after the fact.
Oh, that's brilliant, actually. Right? If
Yeah.
you have the
Well, since we're
choices,
not doing it live, we don't have to worry about live switching and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't really,
yeah,
because all we do is record it.
Well,
I like
just to
that. See,
finish up with this real quick, as you can see
right.
on the bottom right hand corner, we're still in that producer view. But I've set up the window and we're in preview, so the last step would actually be to hit publish. And as soon as I hit publish, that now becomes your broadcast view, and everyone is seeing the 3-head overlay with the nice graphics in the background.
The 3-head overlay sounds like one of them horror movies on Saturday mornings back in the day.
It sounds like sounds like another kind of movie you'd see at one of those theaters in the wrong part of town too.
You know, to be correct, I would have to add talking head overlay, and it just didn't feel right. So we just
That's another one. Talking head. I don't know.
because like heads, at least it sounded like technical. Like VCRs used to have heads, right? And like this is a 4-head VCR, so I just left it in that realm.
Dude, I'm gonna make a never mind. I better not say that.
Yeah, you're in work mode. You can't say stuff like that. You gotta be careful.
That's so funny. That's so funny. This is real
Uh-oh.
good.
Uh,
Yeah, so I think when you do the tech check for yourselves, Rich, like is there anything that we didn't cover that something you do every time that we might have missed?
No, but we do. We probably don't go to the extreme that you guys do. I don't know why we don't, but we're pretty casual about it because we all, if something's not working, we know to just restart everything and it probably will work. And so that's kind of the rule. But
True.
it seems to
Never
seems to
been
work
said.
most of the time. Yeah.
It's really funny because like people get mad when you tell them to do that, but the amount of times that I've been getting bitched at, cursed out, whatever, and I'm just like, look, man, at this point, just restart it. It restarts and it works. Oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we all know
uh,
that. In fact, while we're in the middle of a recording, if something happens, we all know the situation. So we just if somebody's having an individual problem, they just restart, and then we just keep talking, and keep the flow going, the flow, and then we try to, and then when they come back, they come back. So, like right now, if I was to go away, you would just see me turn to black on the screen, and then I would come back in. But just it's just the way Ecamm works that way. It's pretty good, and I would probably come right back in the same spot with Luis not having to do anything. You may try that.
yeah,
yeah,
if you want.
Hang up, and I'll come right back.
You see, he just disappeared, and because of it, I would just move into the previous scene where me and Doc were already still set up. And now we could just continue the conversation and we wait for Big Rich to join. And once he does, he'll be in the same spot and we should be able to go into the next scene and move
The
right back
goal is
into
to
the
stay.
conversation.
The goal is to stay in that scene, but that's fine.
Oh, it was the same thing because it showed you leaving. And as a producer,
But you
like as
switched
soon as
out of it.
somebody
You switched to 2 up. I saw you switch to 2 up, but that's cool.
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
I was explaining. Like you
Oh,
weren't
okay.
hearing it because you were off of the line and you weren't like you had turned us off in your
But I was
browser.
seeing it. I was seeing it on the YouTube thing. So I saw what
And
you did.
like I explained was just that. It was that even though
Okay.
you left, I would move into this scene to keep the conversation going.
Oh, I
And
see
then
what
when
you're
you
saying.
come
Okay.
right back in without me even touching or adding you into the
Yeah.
scene, I just moved right
Right
back to
back
that
in the
scene
same place.
Yeah.
and you're right back in the mix.
Yeah.
I
But it
think
works out
that's
pretty
one of
good.
the coolest parts is that it puts the person right back where they came from. That's
Mhm.
a big time saver, and which is also why, like in the bottom, like you look in Luis's camera switcher, where he has a guest, it legit has Rich's name as one of the cameras. So switch to AB side.
Okay. The
Oh, right, no,
producer view?
go back to camera switcher.
Oh,
Camera switcher.
AB side.
Yeah, press AB. So what I do is I actually put me on camera D. So click camera D. No, the black space
Okay,
over
okay, I
there.
got you.
Down that one. Click that. Put me on that one, and then go to like camera B, and then put Rich on that one. You know what I'm saying? And so the B for Big Rich, the D for Doc Rock, right? This is what I do. I phonetically put my guest there. I put Paul always calls in on F for never mind. I won't I won't call him an F head. No, I
For
Favorite,
just
fun. F for
favorite.
fun.
I say it for friend. I put my
Favorite.
guest on camera F for friend. That's the reason why. And so I always know that whenever I build a scene, I build it with camera F as the guest because that's going to be for my first guest, and I put everybody else after that. But in my brain, I could just do it quickly by using the camera switcher. And then now, if I ever have to build a scene in advance, I will already know where I'm going to put my people. So when I designed the show that we're using now and I sent it to Luis, I sent it, and in my notes, I said, make sure that Katie is guest one and I'm guest two, because that way the scenes will never break. After that, we came up with with this version 4 that has camera placers, which makes it easier. But in the beginning, I legit even told Luis in the instructions, if you will, and my instructions are funny. I make them as folders in the folder. So even if you say I didn't read the file, you didn't have to read the file because I named the folder with the instructions.
Which
Old
also
school,
helps
old school.
because when you're looking for it, you understand, be like, where's that folder that Doc sent me? It's a lot
Yeah,
easier to find.
yeah,
That's
that's an
funny.
old school Mac trick, right? There'd be a folder that's named "Move these to applications dash dash dash" and the arrow, and then there'd be 3 icons there, and it'd be like "Move these into preferences," and then so that's where I got it from. I literally got it from old school Mac programs.
And you know what? I like that idea because I have my AB camera set up for my own live stream, because when it comes to producing the flow, I just have you and Katie come in as guests. But it's almost like the way that you used to assign external hard drives to your old computers, where you could just assign a specific letter so that when you would put in, and I'm going there, a floppy disk drive in there, it would
PC
never
stuff.
confuse it.
We
Yeah, I'm
don't have
speaking to Paul, right? He's like, oh, but once you
no. I'm
would
saying
use
we
a
don't have
floppy
letters
drive
on the
to.
Mac. That's a PC words you're speaking. We never had no drive letters on the Mac.
No, that's what I said. Going back from the computer days, I guess that's why the way that I said it. But my PC days, that you could assign drives like that, so that there would never be any confusion, no matter how many drives you would add onto it. And doing that with the cameras is pretty much the same effect. I like it.
Correct. Yes, and it makes life just way easier. It just does make it way easier. So I fully appreciate that.
Another tip that you could use with the AB camera, which I actually have done, which is I've created an entire scene or an entire show for someone, and then once have I can export the profile, and because I've set up all the cameras with AB, I just send a simple set of instructions to say, hey, make sure your first camera is set to A, make sure your secondary camera is set to B, and you're good to go. Because how all the scenes have already been set up with the corresponding letters, everything falls into place.
It's dope stuff. It's dope stuff. I think the cool thing about doing one of these is just giving people sort of a backtrack.
That's funny.
I'm laughing at Edith's damn comment. It just broke my
Yeah,
face.
what's a folder drive? I love it.
Doing one of these is a really good way to just finally understand that you have a lot more control than you think you do. One of the things that I'm forever trying to explain to people, when they have a problem or whatever, is that I think about it like this. I think the program itself, meaning Ecamm, doesn't have coding in it to do all the nefarious things that people want to say that it did to their stuff. In other words, there's no programming language in there that says, here, cause an echo. If you're getting an echo, it's hardware. It's almost have to be hardware, because there's no code line that says, let me generate a slapback to irritate the heck out of this person's audience. And it's hard for people to wrap their head around that. Like it doesn't know how to do that, right? That was one of my conversations where people were like, well, this machine did so and so and so. That machine doesn't know how to do that. The person operating the machine did that. It does. His computer don't know how to do nothing you don't tell it to do. Let's just put it that way.
The
That's
problem
easy.
consists between the keyboard and the chair.
Correct.
We used to always
Oh,
say there was a loose nut on the controls.
that,
I like that.
oh, that's really good. That's kind of funny because that just about specifies our show producer, Mr. Luis Vega.
Thank you.
Dude, this has been super, super good. I want to get into checking with everybody for questions, for answers, so that way we have some time to run through this real quick. For anyone who's enjoyed this episode, I know it's a little bit different from what we normally do, but we wanted to give you a deep behind the scenes of the way we set up for a show because there's just a lot of questions, and we thought like maybe we would be able to help you with some of them questions. So hope you enjoyed this. If you have any further questions and you're not watching this live taping, please send it to flow@ecamm.com. That's FLOW@ECAMM.com. And then we will work you into an episode so that we can make sure that you understand what you need in order to do your podcast. And people, I know a lot of you guys are catching this. There's no better time than the present. Today, actually, let me fix this. Let me say this the way I want to say it. Yesterday was the best day to start a video podcast. And if you missed that, well, you can start today. So, Luis, you're in live demo mode. You just did a me.
No, I know, but I still wanted to put that up there because that's what you were talking about. I was just
Yeah.
waiting for you to get into the script.
Okay. Oh, well, now, this show is brought to you by Descript or Descript, however you want to say it. Doesn't matter. Just use it. This is the bee's knees. This is that's hashtag Diana Gladney. This is the bee's knees Hall of Fame. This is literally one of the best applications ever. It allows you to record your podcast and then visualize it as if it were a Word or a Google Doc. And if you can use a word processor, you know how to edit your podcast. It is quite amazing. It's very functional. They've added a lot of new tools. They made it even simpler than it ever was before. So even if you looked at the script a little bit ago, look at it again. It doesn't change. It went away for the summer and came back hot. So go and check out the script. You can find more about that at descript.com. Tell them Ecamm sent you. We got links in the descriptions for all of this stuff. That's another recording for the flow. We record live every Tuesday on our YouTube channel over Ecamm Live on the old YouTube box. And then after that recording, we jump into Q&As, which we're going to do right now. So we'll see you again next week on The Flow. All right, folks, let's get some cues. Anybody got cues that need A? Oh, Nino asked about editing comments a little bit ago. Can you show how to stylize your comments?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so let's bring one up. Actually, let's bring that comment up. Let me find
I wish
it.
there was a way to save these styles because I have two different styles, one for my show and one for my Ecamm show, and then different one actually for Amazon. And
they don't stay with the profiles?
They do, yeah. So profiles is one, but I mean, I would just like a speed. Like if I'm doing a demo and I mess up the style to show something, I want to put it back quickly. But yeah, no biggie. I'm fast at it, so it's not that big a deal.
Okay, I don't see a cue there on that question, so maybe it was just.
It was way in the beginning.
All right, but I had done the Q colon.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
So I don't think it was set up.
Folks
Let me
don't follow
just go
this
through.
around here.
So it was about adjusting the comments, right?
Yeah, like
stylizing it.
There you go. There you go, Mr. Rich. Thanks for calling in, man. It's that was really helpful.
Sure. Yeah,
appreciate it.
Hey, I really like the. I haven't really looked at your spread before. Your background graphics, your little X's and O's thing. That's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
Check marks, arrows. That's kind of a neat touch.
Austin did that.
Austin
is our designer
for Ecamm.
We needed a consistent look and feel. And so rather than me making some stuff and Katie making some stuff and Kayla making some stuff, we got us Austin so that we could have a like brand design person that just keeps everything looking good. So you'll notice the Ecamm graphic. There's a theme or a style or a personality through all of the branding now. That's awesome. It's big help, I think.
All right. Well, we're gonna
No, but
thank
I'm just talking
Paul
about
to
like
find the comment. Oh, go ahead.
I was
Go
just going
ahead.
to say the way you have the circle and the square and the check and the arrow and the
Yeah,
flow as a logo, and then you have the background graphics as a secondary thing. So
yeah,
just now
yeah.
when you were showing the script window and it had that as a background, so it just made it yours. It was just really it's a good look.
Thank you.
I
I
just hadn't
like it.
noticed that before. That's awesome.
You know, when we do the names, right? When it's myself and Katie, one of
Uh
us
huh.
is circle and one of us is square. So
I
it
haven't noticed that before.
prefaces the name in the name block, right? It's also kind of cool.
Cool.
All right. So I'm gonna bring the comment back up, right? And just the same way that you can do the pencil on everything else, you have a pencil for the overlays and for the comments. And so this is bringing up the comment that I was looking for. So thanks to Paul for reposting it. But now that it's there, it gives me the full ability to customize it. And as you can see, you have like all of your fonts that you have like plugged into your computer. So any font that's part of your font lab, I think it's what it's called, right? Or the font book within the Mac's computers is
Yeah.
available to you. So if I wanted to, I could change the entire font to Anton, right? And once I have that set up, I can change the background color if I want a background color, if I don't, how I want the corners to be displayed. So if I want, sharp corners or rounded corners, if I decide rounded corners, I can see the margins and the border size of it and the corner like width or how round or how sharp. Basically you have full control, and even at this point, for S and Gs, you have the ability to actually even just actually customize the comment itself. So you can add extra, text to it. And if you were to save it, that would become it was supposed to still be on there. But as you can see, once you save it, the next time that you bring up a comment, now they are stylized with that new font overlay. And that will just apply to every single comment from then on out.
Yes. The new font overlay. Man, and what Luis just did right now, please never do that. This is funny. This is only a design type thing. Certain fonts are known as display fonts, and they're designed for very big headlines. Using them in large copy, really bad.
Oh yeah,
Because
or
yeah,
cursive like fonts or
You know
anything
what's
in that moment. Like that's
You know
yeah,
ideal.
what's amazing about Ecamm though? If you go back into a comment, if you change the name to a different font and a different weight, like maybe Futura Bold, and then the comment itself is Helvetica, it knows the difference between the name and the word and the comment itself.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just think
yeah.
it's amazing that Ecamm knows how to do that.
I love that because you notice when I do mine, right, which you'll see in an hour, I have mine all different weights, right? I have,
Yeah, yeah, we do too. Yeah,
extra bulk, and I love the fact you do even different colors, which is cool. And it's like it understands the first and last name as portion of the text as opposed to the other. I think that
yeah,
has to do
it's cool.
with the way it reads APIs, though.
Yeah,
I don't. I wonder if that also works in Facebook comments. See, I don't use Facebook like that because it's horrible. But I wonder if it remembered Facebook because I think it has to do with the way the
oh,
API comes in. Maybe the API shows us,
or it may be a
first.
platform thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Now you made me curious. I got to double check now. I'm gonna have to stream on Facebook painfully.
You don't have to. Just don't do it.
Don't do
Just
it.
say it's not. Just say it's not working. Sorry, it's still not working.
Thanks, Rich, man. That's why we have friends like you. Like, just say no, man. Just say no. No, it's not. It's not a Luis thing. This is people do this all the time because I don't know why they do it, but I don't think people realize if you're going to have people who might make a comment like Paul made the comment about audio podcast drops every week. Today's episode that in a display font will be so impossible to read for the person that's on your show, especially people with visual. You think it would be easier because they're harder to they're older and they can't really see, but it blurs together so it becomes just a block. So you have to be cognizant of that if you know you have a type of show where people leave thoughtful engagement engaging questions. Make sure you pick a question for the body text. I mean, pick a font for the body text that will lend itself to readability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually like that could be a whole nother episode on like typeface and what the contrasting colors, because it's not only the font that you choose, but the colors. Because sometimes I've seen these same comments with like, I think red as the name, and the red contrasts so much because of the light frequency that it almost creates like a blur around all of the letters, and that you can't really read it because the contrast isn't there. So all of those things have to come into play when it comes to selecting like a good font and a good combination for readability.
Yeah. So here's what's funny. A lot of people don't understand, and you said it. There is a massive difference between a typeface and a font. They're not the same. uh, and people mix the words together, and half the time when people are talking about a font, they really mean a typeface. But a for instance, Arial, Helvetica, whatever, those are font families. And the typeface is what you see, right? So if I take Arial and make it bold and italic at 44 points, typeface.
But
Let's not get into graphic stuff. I want to blow
yeah,
people's head.
we're good to go. I'm gonna get out of live demo mode to close things out. And yeah, Doc, do you want to close out the show?
Yeah, just I'm it's really cool that everybody is working on their shows and things like that. Like, how many episodes are you guys in already, Rich?
31. We're
Isn't
recording
it
32 today. Huh?
isn't it crazy how quick that happens though?
Yeah. Well, we started October, so I guess it's not that quick. When did you guys do the leap into podcasting? When did that start? Well, that was October, right?
October, right? When
Yeah.
Luis and I were in the
Yeah. So
in the
we
mid.
launched the day before you started that. Started that event. So
Yeah, and
Wednesday.
now we're on episode 40, right? That was today's episode.
Yeah. We only started right before that. We started it right before Leap as a way of to build into Leap, and then we just
Right.
kept it going. And then so for people who are just starting out and don't feel like they have a lot of shows, it doesn't take very long. It literally
No,
does
it
not
doesn't.
take very long. And the creator pod, if you just want to hear what goes through the minds of creators, it is actually a great show to listen to. And you get different opinions, different views. Um, uh, a lot of Keely versus Alec.
That didn't happen too often. It happened once, Doc. Come on.
I'm joking.
And it
It
was
was actually
fun.
it was very good. It was a very good episode because, well, I think again, it goes to show you that there's more than one way to skin a cat. No, we shouldn't say that anymore. Yeah, to do something, there's more than one way to do something.
Yeah.
So it's a very enlightening listen to, and I think it's very helpful for people that are whether you're just starting out or you've been doing this for a long time. It's just good to get inside the mind of people that are doing what you're doing. So I highly recommend you check out the Creator Pod. Paul will link us up. But thank you guys for coming to this. Don't forget, next Tuesday we finna do it again. We're gonna have another episode, and we'll hopefully keep on going. This has been great, especially now that YouTube is finally getting things together. They got one last piece to add to YouTube podcast, which will be RSS feeds. And when we get to that, then we'll have a deep dive on RSS on why it doesn't matter anymore.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you, Flow Riders, and we will see you next week.
Flow Riders
Later, guys.
out.
Thanks. See ya.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate you.